What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Angry Mac Adventures, man. I've been so excited to show you guys this episode. I just purchased my dream car and it's right behind me. My brand new 2021 GXL Land Cruiser. It is a 4.5 litre twin turbo diesel engine that I think is going to be more than capable. It's going to be the perfect touring rig as well as towing around Australia in comfort and style. Now, if you guys are on my Instagram channel, you already know I purchased this a couple of weeks ago and a bunch of you guys requested for me to record the build series because this thing is not staying stock for too long. Oh guys, I'm so bloody excited. Look at this, man. I'm still kicking myself right now and I cannot wait to share with you guys the process and what I actually do with this thing and where I take it. It's definitely a new beginning. YouTube is only a hobby. I have not purchased this through YouTube. I have got a full-time job that I work extremely hard at. In the last couple of years, I've been working towards buying a house and buying my dream vehicle. Now, I didn't actually want to buy this year, but as soon as Toyota Land Cruiser stated that they weren't making any more V8 models as of next year, I jumped on this cruiser as soon as I could. So guys, it's one of the last Toyota V8 Land Cruisers that's ever going to be produced, well, as of yet anyway, and I'm so glad that I got my hands on one. So let's get straight into the accessories and I'll show you guys exactly what I've done so far and what my future plans are. Oh, I can't take the smile off my face. Alrighty, so first up is the tint. We've installed the darker tint to match the privacy glass. It just makes it look, it just makes it tie in a lot better with the vehicle, as well as the wind deflectors. I had that on my Ranger and they are bloody awesome. Coming around the front here, I've installed the bonnet protector. If I start going up north a lot, I know that the bonnet starts to chip away, especially if you don't run one of these. So look, it's not the best or the prettiest looking thing, but definitely protects that bonnet. Now, under the hood, guys, there she is, the big 4.5 litre V8 turbo diesel. All you car enthusiasts know that the catch can and secondary filter is a must on any vehicle, especially a brand new vehicle like this. And if you guys are touring around Australia or wherever you are, especially with these little towns, you can come across contaminated fuel a lot more frequently than you do city driving. So what that fuel filter does is it brings it down to 5 microns and it gets that fuel as clean as it can before it goes through the factory fuel filter and into the engine. So I believe that the secondary fuel filter is definitely a must. Now, as for the catch can, that just picks up all that recycled oil that goes through the engine. If you guys read up about it, you know that is definitely a must for a diesel engine. So guys, this episode doesn't stop here. I've got a brand new base rack ready to install. I went and picked this up today. So it's the base rack with the mounts and the deflector. Hoping that it's not too hard. Hopefully there's some fitting instructions there, but I know a bunch of you guys are doing up your 200 series and I hope this video helps you guys out.
So this is what the roof racks look like from factory on the LC200. We're not going to worry about these at the moment, but we are going to start assembling the ARB base rack. Now we're going to be installing the rails on the side of the rack using the brackets supplied. Now we don't tighten these up at the moment because it does need to sit on the car, but making sure you do tighten them to factory spec when we get to that step.
So we're just tightening up these bolts here, loose enough to move it around, but tight enough so it's not wobbling all over the place, and we won't lose any of the nuts or bolts. Alrighty, so this is an option for ARB, but this is called a wind deflector, which is installed at the front of the rack, and that stops that noise. It gets very, very annoying, trust me. So unlike the sides where it uses two, this one here just uses the single that's in the middle there. I really like the design of these actually. So unlike the other brands, this is fully welded and it uses these little channels through here. So it creates a very, very strong bond from the rack to your accessories.
Now this step actually helped me out and I'm sure it will help you guys out too, but I actually tightened the deflector up at the front of the base rack and that actually helped line it up on the car. So make sure that it is square with the rack and the rails, tighten it up to the spec, and definitely will help you out in the long run. Now this next step is a bit fiddly, removing the covers off the roof rack. Make sure you have some trim removal tools because it will save you some panel damage.
One of the main advice that ARB gave me is that once you're removing these two 13mm bolts on either side and the two 10mm, to make sure that you crack them both and remove them evenly. Otherwise there's like a nut insert that's on the bottom, and if that falls down, or if you crack one and try and crack the other and it spins, you have to take your whole roof lining out of the car to put that back in. So when you're doing this, just make sure you crack one and then crack the other, and vice versa. So even if it takes you another 2 or 3 minutes of your time, it'll save you a couple of hours if you have to rip the whole roof lining out. So just make sure you evenly undo the bolts and you shouldn't have any issues.
Now this step's pretty easy, guys. It's just removing the factory bolts on the roof rack. It is sealed pretty well, so once they're all removed, you have to give it a bit of a wiggle for it to release.
Take both of them out, just like that. Should theoretically pop out just like that. So we're just going to undo both sides just exactly the same as we did with the front and rear. Just rotating between the two, and then a bit of a wiggle, and that pops straight out. See this little tab here? Once you remove that, that exposes the last two bolts for that bracket. So we'll undo these two here.
Just push these in.
No, definitely not. Just closing like that. So what we're installing now are the new brackets to fit for the base rack, which is just these little angled brackets here. They've got like a rubber seal that goes on the bottom, and on top of that rubber seal you have two Allen head bolts, stainless steel bolts. You can see why these are so strong. They go in like that, and the back of the nut faces inside, and that there just slides in between like so and tightened up back on the existing nut inserts that are on the vehicle. So we just got some 243 Loctite. It's getting to the end of its life, this bottle, but it's all right. Use a bit of a screwdriver, get the last bit out. But yeah, we're just putting some Loctite on all the bolts, so we make sure that these don't come off in corrugated roads and stuff like that. So I'm just putting a generous amount of Loctite on there, and then just basically putting them back in that thread and tightening them up to 22 pounds of torque, which is the specs.
Now with the Loctite, I actually put a dab of silicone around the thread just to make sure we're basically watertight, as well as a nice seal around the bracket once it's installed.
So I've got my torque wrench, and the piece that sits on here doesn't fit because of the way that the brackets are angled. So I'll have to do about 22 pounds with my hand, so which is basically just do it tight. Now all the brackets are installed. My mate Johnny, he got the same rack installed from ARB, and they kind of just left these gutter seals like flopping in there, and after a couple of months, a couple of them actually flew out. So I made the decision, I'm using this Marine Flex sealant. It's an adhesive sealant, waterproof, and I'm just gonna plot 2 or 3 dots along the seal there, and then just stick them back in so they kind of just sit there. I'm not sure if they're for any purpose or anything, but I'll put them back. I might run a bead of silicone around the brackets just to make sure it's all watertight, and then we'll sit the base rack on.
Now, like I mentioned before, as I was sealing those factory gutter rubber seals, I just ran a bead of silicone around the actual brackets themselves just to make sure that we are definitely watertight. Now, I'm not going to see it when the roof rack does go on, but it's just for peace of mind, so I know no water is actually going to enter that roof.
Nothing too crazy, because I want to take these off one day. I can. Just enough there so it can actually stick down. Beautiful. All right, done. Let's get going. Alrighty, so everything is now installed. The seals are back in, the brackets are now mounted. Now the last thing we have to do is just sit the roof rack on. So what the plan is we have, where is it? We've got a cloth just here. We've got a cloth that we're gonna sit on the top of the roof, and then we're gonna sit those foam pieces on top of that, and then sit the roof rack, and then hopefully we can try and work each side.
Now, I didn't expect it at all, but this roof rack is actually really heavy, so I suggest having a few people help with this installation. I had 2 of us and we actually struggled a bit, but we did manage. I ended up putting those foam pieces on top of the roof just to help us stabilize it before bolting it down onto the actual brackets themselves. That took quite a while to make sure it was all sitting straight, but once it was all bolted down, I went around with the torque wrench making sure that it was to spec. I believe it was 22 foot-pounds of torque, and also make sure it's actually straight before you tighten everything up.
Alrighty, so the base rack's pretty well sitting flush with where I want it to be, so now we're just gonna tighten up the nuts that hold the bracket to the base rack, and yeah, pretty much job done. Man, what a mission. So that's sitting 110 out to the back, and that is 110 as well. So I checked the front previously. That's sitting pretty well flush now. Just make sure we got the right socket. We'll tighten these up, and job done, guys. All right, last thing we've got to do is now just tighten up those nuts that hold the base rack to the mounting bracket. Pedro, how you going there, mate?
Oh, good. The next one.
Oh, mate. Lucky. That was a good idea, actually, that we left that there. So it doesn't scratch the car up.
Not just pretty close.
It's, she's pretty solid, eh? I like it. I like it a lot. I got a ARB awning from my my other car, so I might throw that on there for now until I work out what 270-degree awning to go for. So if you guys have any ideas on what brand to go for, let us know in the comments. Mate, finito. How good. Well, that includes this video. This is series build number 1 of the LC200. The reason why I went with the ARB base rack is it actually doesn't drop its load capacity off-road. It stays the exact same. So it's a very strong bar, and you can also put a rooftop tent on there if you want as well. So I love the aesthetics of it. It just looks awesome on the car. Now in the near future, you're gonna see a bunch of videos on this LC200. A lot of you have requested this build series, so it's here for you guys to enjoy. And if you guys do have a 200 series, hopefully the installation videos give you guys a bit of a hand. You're gonna see dual battery setups to what lift kit and tires I'm gonna be running, to performance mods and stuff like that. Got an airbox and a snorkel that's gonna be installed in the next couple of weeks, so look out for that. But in the meantime, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.